The lights of the studio burned brightly, reflecting off the polished glass of the circular table at the center of the stage. The Nightline Hour was live, with its millions of viewers glued to their screens at home, eager to watch what had been billed as the most anticipated interview of the year. The tension was palpable, the air charged with the kind of electricity that only live television could generate. Seated on opposite sides of the table were two figures who couldn't have been more different. On one side was Jessica Ford, the renowned liberal talk show host known for her sharp wit and fearless takedowns. Dressed in a bold crimson pantsuit, her presence was commanding, her reputation for grilling guests without mercy preceding her. She had a particular knack for pushing conservative figures into uncomfortable corners, and tonight she seemed ready for her next target. On the other side sat Melania Trump, the current First Lady of the United States, as poised and composed as ever. She was dressed in an elegant white blazer over a sleek black dress, her pearl necklace glinting softly under the lights. Her calm demeanor and serene smile belied the gravity of the situation. She knew exactly why she was there. Tonight wasn't just about an interview. It was about defending her legacy. The applause from the live audience faded as Jessica leaned forward, her hands clasped on the table. "Good evening, everyone," she began, her tone smooth yet edged with the kind of confidence that bordered on arrogance. "Tonight, we have a very special guest joining us. She is the current First Lady of the United States, a figure who has sparked much debate and discussion over the years. Please welcome Melania Trump." The audience clapped politely, though the tension in the room was unmistakable. Melania nodded graciously, her movements precise and deliberate. "Thank you, Jessica," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I appreciate the invitation." Jessica's smile widened, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. She was ready to pounce. "Melania, as First Lady, you've launched several initiatives, most notably your Be Best campaign, which focuses on promoting kindness and combating cyberbullying. But let's address the elephant in the room. Many people have pointed out that your husband's behavior, especially on social media, seems to contradict the values of your campaign. How do you respond to those who see your efforts as hypocritical?" The question hung in the air, its pointedness impossible to ignore. The audience shifted uncomfortably, some smirking, others holding their breath. Jessica's tone, though polished, carried a clear undercurrent of mockery. Melania didn't flinch. She remained composed, her serene expression unbroken as she took a moment to consider her response. Finally, she leaned forward slightly, her hands resting gracefully on the table. "Jessica," she began, her voice calm but firm, "I understand why some people might feel that way. But I want to be very clear. My campaign is not about politics. It's about values. It's about teaching children the importance of kindness, empathy, and respect. These are principles that transcend any one individual. I focus on the work, not on the noise." Her words were measured, deliberate, and undeniably impactful. A ripple of soft applause spread through the audience, though Jessica's expression remained unchanged. She wasn't finished. "That's an interesting answer," Jessica said, her tone sharp. "But don't you think that as the First Lady, your actions are inevitably tied to your husband's? It's hard to separate the two when his behavior is so public." Melania tilted her head slightly, her faint smile unwavering. "I believe that every person is responsible for their own actions," she said. "As First Lady, my focus has always been on my work, on the children I meet, on the communities I visit, and on the initiatives I support. It's easy to judge from a distance, but those who truly understand my efforts know that they come from a place of genuine care." Jessica leaned back slightly, her eyes narrowing. "But do you think history will remember you for those efforts? Or will it remember you as someone who stayed silent while standing beside one of the most polarizing figures in modern politics?" The audience collectively inhaled, the question cutting through the room like a blade. Jessica's reputation for pulling no punches was on full display, and for a moment it seemed as though Melania might hesitate. But she didn't. Instead, she met Jessica's gaze head-on, her voice steady and unshaken. "History is written by actions, not by headlines," she said. "I have always believed that true leadership comes from staying focused on your purpose, even when others try to define you. My legacy will be built on the lives I've touched and the values I've promoted, not on the opinions of those who choose to misunderstand me. The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Even Jessica seemed momentarily at a loss for how to respond. The audience, however, began to clap, their applause growing louder and more sustained with each passing second. But Jessica wasn't ready to concede. She straightened in her chair, her tone growing sharper. "Let's talk about unity," she said. "You've often spoken about the importance of bringing people together, but how can you promote unity when you're part of an administration that many people see as divisive?" Melania's expression softened, though her resolve remained firm. "Unity begins with understanding," she said. "It's not about agreeing on everything. It's about finding common ground. My role as First Lady has been to focus on what unites us, not what divides us. And I believe that if we can teach the next generation to approach others with kindness and respect, we can build a more united future." Jessica opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, a member of the audience began clapping, quickly followed by another, and then another. Within seconds, the entire room was on its feet, giving Melania a standing ovation. The cameras panned across the crowd, capturing the moment in all its glory. Jessica's smile tightened, her frustration barely concealed as she realized that she had lost control of the narrative. For all her attempts to corner and criticize, Melania's composure and grace had turned the tables entirely. As the applause settled and the audience returned to their seats, Jessica took a deep breath, clearly trying to regain control of the conversation. Her tone shifted, becoming more confrontational, a last-ditch effort to steer the narrative in her favor. "Melania," she began, her voice sharp, "it's admirable that you focus on unity and kindness. But let's be real. Your husband's administration has been one of the most polarizing in recent history. People have lost trust in leadership, and many see your role as symbolic at best. Do you truly believe you've made a tangible difference, or is this just about appearances?" The question was loaded, designed to provoke, and Jessica leaned back in her chair, a faint smirk playing on her lips, as if she had finally cornered the First Lady. The audience tensed, some leaning forward, eager to see how Melania would respond. But Melania didn't falter. She remained calm, her demeanor unshaken. She folded her hands on the table, her gaze steady as she addressed Jessica directly. "I believe," she began, her voice carrying the weight of conviction, "that real change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through small, meaningful actions that build over time. When I visit schools and speak with children, when I meet with parents and educators, I see the impact of my work firsthand. These moments may not always make headlines, but they matter, because leadership is not about appearances. It's about purpose." Jessica's smirk faltered, and the audience began to murmur, impressed by Melania's composed and thoughtful response. But Melania wasn't finished. "As for trust in leadership," she continued, her tone sharpening just slightly, "it's easy to criticize from the outside, but true leadership requires focus, resilience, and the ability to rise above distractions. My role as First Lady has always been about serving the American people, not about responding to every opinion or controversy. I choose to lead by example, and I hope that my actions inspire others to do the same." The audience erupted into applause once again, and this time, the ovation lasted longer. Even Jessica, despite her best efforts to appear unaffected, seemed momentarily at a loss for words. Jessica glanced at her notes, searching for another angle, determined not to let Melania dominate the conversation. "Well," she said, her tone shifting to one of mock curiosity, "it seems you have a lot of faith in your work. But let's address the criticism directly. Many believe that your silence on certain political issues speaks volumes. Don't you think the American people deserve a First Lady who takes a stronger stand?" Melania's expression didn't change, but there was a subtle shift in her posture, a quiet, deliberate confidence that signaled she was ready to deliver the final blow. "Jessica," she said, her voice steady but commanding, "silence is not the absence of strength. Sometimes the most powerful statements are made through actions, not words. My work as First Lady has never been about political posturing. It's been about creating real change for real people. And while some may choose to focus on criticism, I will continue to focus on solutions." The room fell silent, the weight of her words settling over the audience. Even the most skeptical members of the crowd seemed moved. their expressions softening as they absorbed the message. Jessica, meanwhile, shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her usual bravado visibly shaken. Before Jessica could respond, Melania continued, her tone growing even stronger. I believe that kindness, respect, and understanding are values that transcend politics. These are the values I have worked to promote as First Lady, and these are the values I will continue to stand for. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who shouts the loudest, it's about who makes the greatest impact. The audience erupted into applause, louder and more enthusiastic than before. Several members of the crowd rose to their feet, giving Melania a standing ovation. The cameras captured every moment, ensuring that the powerful exchange would be broadcast to millions around the world. Jessica, realizing that she had lost control of the narrative, forced a tight smile. Well, Melania, she said, her tone strained, you've certainly given us a lot to think about tonight. Thank you for being here. Melania nodded graciously, her poise unshaken. Thank you, Jessica, she replied. It was a pleasure. As the broadcast ended and the studio lights dimmed, the audience buzzed with excitement, their conversations filled with admiration for the First Lady's grace and composure. Clips of the interview quickly went viral, with headlines proclaiming, Melania Trump silences liberal host with poised comeback, and First Lady's grace leaves critics speechless. Jessica Ford, meanwhile, faced criticism for her aggressive approach, with many viewers accusing her of underestimating Melania's intelligence and resolve. In the days that followed, even some of Jessica's most loyal supporters admitted that the First Lady had outshone her, proving that true strength lies in grace and humility. For Melania Trump, the interview wasn't just a victory, it was a testament to her ability to rise above criticism and stay true to her values. And for everyone who watched, it was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful voice is the one that remains calm in the face of chaos. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire and challenge us to grow. What would you have done if you were in her shoes? Let us know in the comments below.